Hey everybody, welcome in this new episode of Build. It's actually the 14th episode in the series, so it's becoming quite something. Almost more episode than Lost. So I was thinking that I'm quickly gonna show you two things I've built and shipped this weekend or end of last week, and then um, we can continue to work on our calendar application as if we would push it to production and maybe also do the migration of Svelte 4 to Svelte 5. I guess, yeah, that can be interesting, I think. So, starting with the website, one thing I done is I reviewed all or most of the description and meta tags. Like that was a suggestion of Benjamin, my friend who helped with the marketing of Juno. So you see, like, for example, this popped up and other things have been done. And also change a bit the onboarding. It's a bit simpler, like we have the getting started. Then you have the create satellites, you still have the SDK, but here I added like a note that if you just do the hosting, you don't need it. But the biggest change is probably in the guides. So now, whatever guides you picked, you're always gonna have a question like, what do you want to do? Do you want to build or do you want to do the hosting? And if you pick build, then you have a question, what do you want to do? Do you want like a step-by-step to do all the steps yourself, or do you want to have a quick start? If you pick step-by-step, it's what was there already. If you go to quick start, then you're just gonna have a small intro, then tell you to use the template. And hosting the same, use the template or not. And then in the deployment, there is always like something if you need to have the static asset or not. But beside that, on the deploy step, each guides you see finish with a question: do you want to deploy with GitHub Action or manually? If you click manual, then you have like that step that explains install the CLI, do the login and the deploy and so on. And if you use the GitHub Action, then it's the GitHub Action that we know. And speaking of manual, there is something cool that is new too. If you use the last version of the CLI and the last version of the GitHub Action and the last types, you can now use scripts to build your app. As always, I need to zoom. Right, so what did I do? Yes. So you see before we had that, and if you wanted to deploy that app, you always have to do npm run build. And once you have built your app, you always did then Juno deploy. And then it would have deployed. What you can do now is in your configuration, you can add a deploy script. So it's an array of commands. And in that array, you can add whatever scripts you want to run before the deploy. So in that case, you can have a build, but you can also add like a, I don't know, some script that does something. It doesn't necessarily have to have like a JavaScript that can be anything, right? You can have post deploy script, and you can just run those. And now, if I would run, of course, here it doesn't work because I would need my password to deploy. But yeah, those scripts are run automatically before and those after, which is nice. Yes. And yeah, last but not least, maybe in the console. So I had to fix a small bug, and at the same time, I deployed a new version that also shrink a bit the size. I think it's a bit nicer now. There is a bit more information that is displayed on a standard laptop screen as on my machine, for example. And beside that, and the migration to Svelte file and so on, what's new is that if you go to your wallet here, you're gonna have the resive button. And this resive button, I had to test it, but also it's a nice feature. I implemented the signer standard, which is a new standard on the IC that allows dApp to communicate, notably. And here I plugged that the Easy Wallet. So here, if I sign in, that was too quick. Let me sign out Easy. So that's gonna be a bit nicer. So here, if I open it, then I have Easy that's open. I'm gonna logged in Easy. Potentially, there can be any wallet that support those transfer function. It makes the connection. It says, okay, in Oisy, that's my account. That's the balance I have in Oisy. And here I can say, okay, I want to receive, let's say, 0.05 ICP from there. Say request. And here I'm going to have to approve a consent message that summarize what I want to do. So I want to transfer those to my wallet. This is here. Approve. And I got my ICP that should pop up like in a bit. I should maybe, you see they are here. And I received my ICP. So you still have the way to use like the code and transfer and so on. And that's still there, but just like a nice small addition. And also for me, it was a way to test something. All right. So if there is no question, I'm gonna close Brave. I'm gonna close this, and we're gonna go back to our application. So I'm gonna start the back end and the front end. Right. So I've changed a bit the design. It's not finished, but kind of think like now that I've bought that deck picker .xyz, we can start having fun a bit. And yeah, I just wanted to have like my signature border style things. If you have a look, that sign in button is the same as this one, you know. So I just copy pasted basically the same style I already had. And yeah, so my idea here is that given that I have migrated multiple apps to Svelte 5, recently included the Juno console, that we can maybe try to migrate this application, given that, yeah, at some point we might want to launch it in production, so we want to have it up to date, right? So let's do that. So Svelte 5 migration guide. Actually, it's really nice. They have a nice, they have a tool to do it. So I just need to find the guide. Yeah. So we need to just update the dependencies. So what we're gonna do is we just gonna bump the Svelte dependencies and maybe a bit, right? So let me do that. And here we're gonna compare. So no, Svelte. ESLint, we don't do that now. Node nether, auto prefix on nether, that's no. And we don't want to bump that. We can bump global. Why not? Even though it's not really required. So here we have Svelte 5, right? Spell check, we want that. Tailwind, we don't want. Sleep, I don't think we need. Sleep bit, we can do that. Don't think we need. Maybe we're gonna do Vit anyway, test sleep 2. And this one we don't need. All right. So here we install the dependencies and it failed. So I'm gonna remove this one. Okay, and now right, and the application should still build, but of course doesn't. So that's unrelated, but it's the types that are not clean enough. All right, so it's still build, and if I start the application, it still works out. And that's maybe one thing I really like about that migration to Svelte 5 is it's backwards compatible, so that's nice, right? So we're gonna jump Svelte v5 and here. Okay. Now that we have migrated the dependency, we also want to migrate the code, and they provide a nice tools to do that, which is, where is it? NPX, yeah, this one. So they have like a tools that gonna do most of the work for us, which is NPX, and that's their new CLI, Svelte, it's SV, and we say migrate to Svelte 5. So I want the last version, and yes, so we don't want to migrate those folder, we only want to migrate the SRC folder. All right, so let's have a look what it did. So you see, that's maybe the one interesting change is that there is no more slot in Svelte v5. Instead, you gonna pass something, you basically pass snippet, and those snippets are rendered, and slot without name is a children. So in that case, here we say that component accept a slot, accept children, and it renders those children. And the migration tools don't know exactly if when there is a slot, he makes those as optional. And the other change is that instead of having, did you have that? you see, instead of having like export, let, and always as properties, now we always define an interface, props, for example, with all the properties inside. And then there is like a derive properties on which you deconstruct the element you need. So yeah, it's a bit like a different approach, a bit more typed, but it's nice within the type. So let's have a look. So here we don't have to do anything. That was just a slot. You see here it doesn't compile, so we had the TypeScript that was missing. Here it's just a slot, it's fine. Before, you had all these let that were reactive by default. And now the difference is that you have to express the fact that something is reactive and is a local state. Sorry. And you do that by using those $state. So before we had a title and we had like an array. So we are fine. That was same. Another change is you don't have on double point submit, but now the event is closer to HTML. So here it's called on submit. And by the way, which is this page, before you had like on submit and then you can prevent default and so on. That doesn't exist anymore neither in Svelte 5. If you want to do that, you have to get the event in your callback, and in the event you do event prevent default. Right. So that's fine too. That's fine. It's a state. We are good. Submit. So here you see, that's why that's interesting. It's like they have like they have introduced some legacy code. That way you can migrate without the need to change the code, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's fun. So if we compare before what we had an auto subscriber that says every time event key or app state changes, reload the event. And that's not possible anymore. So what we have to do is like to have an effect, which is a bit like having a use effect in React. So this is the one, right? So I'm gonna delete the code here, and this is not gonna work anymore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an effect. And how do we do that? I'm not sure actually if we do that like this. That way it notices that when this change, this is executed, and then we're gonna run that. One thing to know is you cannot have something async in an effect. That doesn't work. So here we ignore the promise. That should do. We're gonna double check, right? Then that's a state, it's fine. On submit, we know that. On change, same logic. On click, same logic. Where are we? We are in answer count. Interesting. So here you see we had count was number or undefined, and then every time event dot changed, count was assigned with the count answer. And this can be done instead of an effect with a derived state. So instead of doing a state, we do something called derived, and we actually assign the value here. So every time this one change, that derive will triggers, and then we will get the count from this. Yeah, it's kind of nice actually. That's a slot. Those one change it too. It's not on anymore. And I think we have to change. You see, because otherwise it complains. So let me see. Oh, I did that in Juno. So we have this. So here we had global. So now I think what I say, it's at the root, right? Okay. And at the root, we're gonna have those. But without this, all right, like this. I'm not sure my editor will pick it, but it will be fine when I build. Okay. Look. Property, it's fine. You see here, the property is optional, and then you set the default value when you destruct it here by setting in equals false. So instead of having the value prop equal false, you say props is optional, but then when you use it, it has a default value. What do we have? Ooh, that's a nice one. Interesting. So in Svelte 4, you had we bubbled the event like on click, or you have the dispatcher too, where you always use event bubbled to the top, and that doesn't exist anymore. No, I think the idea is more like that you actually pass function that are executed. So if we check where that button is used, just in the login, and that's an async function, right? So what we're gonna do is, I don't know how we can call that. Let's call it on click, okay? And that all click function gonna be of type promise void. We remove this, right? We destruct our function. That's a bit ugly. And here we do this. Actually, since it's the same, we can shorten it. So when it clicked, it calls onClick. OnClick is the function that I have to pass as a property. And in the login here, I can now pass onClick as a function. So yeah, you don't have to change it, because when you do the migration, there's a legacy code to do it for you. But if you want to do it, sometimes you can. So that's all the change. That's good. Another one. Where are we? Dashboard. So let's remove that runner. And what do we have? So every time the user sign in, we want to list, and list is a reset. So what we can do is user signing in. Okay. Let's do an effect. Oopla. Each time this change, this should start, and when it starts, we want to list. I'm not sure of that pattern. We're gonna have to check. One example, we have seen that. All right, path. That's an event, and this is derived, so we have seen that pattern. That's the same, just properties that are used, so it's good. On click, derived, yeah, indeed. and we should be good. I don't know what this changed, so I'm just gonna revert that change because I don't want to have the 236.0 to 36.0. All right, so I'm not sure why it is changed neither. 500. So 500. Okay, so let's go for. All right, so let's see if it works out. So far, so good. Okay, not bad, huh? Okay, we have things. Did I create a new one? What is it? What's the order here? I have to check again. Svelte. Ah, yeah, we have it. It's just that I should maybe add some sort in that modal settings. We have that. That should work too. And if I copy the link here, that should still work too, right? Super. And here I gonna attend. Ooh, yeah, I should maybe update the color, but that's not related. And if I refresh here, yeah, I have the count of 1 now because the started. Okay, so that's not too bad, right? And I think last week we set up some tests, right? Like should sign in with a new user, should set user settings. So we're gonna make a pull request and let the test run to check if everything is fine. So right, let's do that first. Ah, nice. Okay. Yeah, I see. All right. This is more an ESLint issue than something else. All right. So that's not really related. Okay. So migrate v5. Okay. And what we're gonna do now, because we really want the full experience. So we gonna migrate ESLint since we are already there, okay? Ooh. Okay, so first I'm gonna format. Okay. Yes. Here we're gonna it should be hopefully, of course not. So gonna merge min. Do we have for conflict? Yeah, we're gonna accept ours. we're gonna do a format. Okay, and we're gonna merge. All right, I'm gonna make my editor happy. Okay, so I said we're gonna merge ESLint, and here what we're gonna do, I did it in this repo, and I did it by comparing what's generated with a default Svelte kit project. So let's do the same. So and blah 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 blah. The configuration of ESLint has changed. So let's update the package first. Okay, so okay. What we're gonna do is I will remove everything that is ESLint related. That way we can start with a clean state. No. Yes. Blah, pause, prettier, Svelte, and TypeScript ESLint. Okay, so I remove those. And now I'm gonna add the same things ESLint related as my template here. So we have this, because we go from ESLint 8 to 9, so maybe there is a better way to do that, but yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. And here TypeScript. Okay. Nice. Then one thing that changed in TypeScript, in ESLint, sorry, is that you don't handle. Oh, we already had that. That's nice. We already migrated. Ah, that's super. Oh, nice. Okay, so let's check that. Okay. We are a bit better right here. So I'm gonna have some merge conflicts, but doesn't matter. Build bump ESLint. Okay, and I let those, and now we go here in the migrate branch. I will merge main, and what I'm gonna do is I will keep mine, and I'm gonna do the same command as I just did. Okay, so now we are in sync. And now we should be able to run ESLint. Okay, so in the dashboard, accepted an call instead of row was like 32. Ah, you see? So it doesn't like that pattern. That's interesting. So what does it do? User sign in, was it what that things is a boolean. So what we're gonna do is here we're gonna have signed in boolean, okay, and here we're gonna pass that as boolean. And here we're gonna have same, and here user signed in, and do that. Okay, and then in event cell on line 30, so we don't want to have an ESLint rule when we use underscore. So to do that, we can define a rule here that says that we allow those, and date is never used in create event.page. So is that a bug of the migration? On line 104. 100. Ah, so let's do the same. And then 54. Ah, yeah, we have the same stuff. I ask myself what's the correct pattern to do that. Yeah, if you know the answer, please shim. Yeah, so I just gonna ignore it for now, but I should really check what's the to do. What's the proper spelled v5 pattern for this? Okay, so almost there. Oh, it's funny. It's what I told you it should work. uh, so, what did I do? Interesting. I did not have to migrate. And here in Juno, what did I do? No, I indeed did that. It's funny. So let's let's try. So we had that in global before. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's life. I should check why too. So core. All right. And here, that's interesting because it seems that our end-to-end tests are failing. So we should check what's the issue. So our backend is running, front end is running, and we have npm run end-to-end. What's happening? Looks like the sign-in doesn't work anymore. All right, so what did change? Ooh, too much RAM. Oh, not enough. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. My 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 editor went banana. So if there was like some issue in the stream, I'm really sorry for that. So where are we? Yeah. So I was saying that the end-to-end test doesn't work anymore. And that's probably because the login button is broken. So let's have a look. Yes, it's broken, but it's not related to this migration. It's broken because if we have a look here, oh, yeah. So here we added that data TID. Then here I added some style and I was still having that data TID. No, you see here, that's a mistake I did. What was that? Saturday. I lost the login ID. So if we fix it on main now, here we need, oh, I'm gonna fix, yeah, let's fix it in our branch because it's gonna be a merge conflict as well. What we need here, we need a test ID, which is optional, right? And if the test ID is set, we're gonna the ID here, we're gonna set the test ID. And what we do here is we set that property, right? Okay, so fix, right? So I'm gonna take my luck again. Never know. Yeah, looks good, huh, right? And now that's the one that should persist settings. If I did not remove also the call to action. Yeah, all right, so oh, yeah, I should be green. And yeah, if it's keen to, what is it? Ah, so it deploys the server. And yeah, that should be it. So while it's doing that, there is not much to say about that migration. We're just gonna wait that it's over. And yeah, I think we're gonna call it a day for this Juno Live because I don't want to introduce a new component today. What we can do next week is we continue to iterate with the goal of porting this application to mainnet. I can think of two things we can set up the custom domain next week, and we can also set up the automatic logout of the user when the session is over, because Juno has some worker that works and that can inform your frontend that a delegation or identity is not active anymore, and then you can grab that one and sign out the user and tell the user, hey, the session is over. So we can set up that and other things that we need to continue to support that production. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for the course it cached the locker, which should be not an issue, but you see like our tests are good, right? To test pass it, so I'm gonna merge this and we're gonna call it a day. Right, super. So if there is no question, thanks for joining the call. And as usual, if there is any issue or question during the week, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to discuss those in the next Juno call. So enjoy your week and see you soon.